you get to practice presence and connection even when you have 50 tabs open in the background and things binging and banging on your phone, your computer, and everything, right? You get to go, no, I am here. I am listening. I am connecting. I am answering. I am asking, right? And I think that for me, that applies to everything.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that'll reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Today I get to speak with my good friend Christine McAlister. She's passionate about helping impact-driven entrepreneurs attract their next clients by being value-driven podcast guests. Now, podcast guesting is not easy, and she's been able to generate well over 6 figures as a podcast guest and has been recognized as the best in the world at podcast guesting by 7-figure founders like John Lee Dumas, Dana Wilde, and Andrew Kroeze. Christine has been a media expert for 2 decades. She's helped broadcast the Olympic Games, produced an award-winning documentary for PBS, and has been featured in Inc., Business Insider, Bustle, the Huffington Post, and on over 100 podcasts, in addition to hosting her top-rated show, No One's Ever Asked Me That. So without further ado, let's listen into this conversation with Christine McAlister. Christine, thank you so much for coming out to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Junaid. I'm so excited.
Dude, I am super excited as well. I mean, we met a few months ago. You sent some really awesome guests our way, and those episodes are on the podcast. But I really wanted to talk to you as well because we had connected through the power of podcasting, through the power of building relationship, and we even got to meet in person at Podfest. That was amazing.
So good. So good. Podcasts are just the best, obviously.
Absolutely. All right. So where I like to start with is origin stories. And the cool part about origin stories is that that is now an acronym. That is now a phrase in our vocabulary thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the first movie with Iron Man, my favorite. So share with us your origin story, Christine.
So I would say my origin story, my hero's journey, is basically that I thought if I did everything right, checked all of the boxes, followed all of the rules, that life was going to go as I wanted it to and expected it to, and believed that it would. And so I was a high achiever. I was a scholarship getter. I was on the path to becoming a veterinarian. And then I realized that I couldn't do dissection in AP biology. And so at about 16, Christine had to figure out what she was going to do with her life after spending 16 years thinking I was going to be a veterinarian. And that led me eventually. I had always been like an avid reader and lover of stories. And so that led me to studying storytelling through the media. So I went to this like kind of best kept secret, one of the top media schools in the country. And I studied the craft and the production of, at that time, the internet was just starting, right? This is back in the dark ages. So I was studying television, I was studying film, and I thought I was going to become a producer, a filmmaker. And I went to grad school for that as well. And then instead, I became a professor at age 23 through no intention of my own.
Professor
And
Christine is here.
Professor Christine, Prof. Yeah, Prof. Christine. It's very strange, very surreal. I love to teach and I love to coach and I love to mentor, but I didn't like doing it for people who didn't want to be there. And at the same time, right? At the same time, I also started an online marketing agency on the side because I knew I wanted to do my own thing, and I always had known I wanted to be my own boss. It took me 5 years though to work my way out of that academia, and then to run my own agency full time. I did that for another 5 years.
Yeah.
7 years ago, though, was like the moment when I realized that you do everything right, you check all the boxes, and life can still be turned on its head. And that was in March of 2015. I lost my daughter full term at 37 weeks, and there was no. Thank you. There's no explanation. There was no reason, no cause, and that really flipped everything that I thought I knew about how life was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Right. And out of that soul searching, like that came out of the pain and the grief, came this desire to create a legacy for my daughter and to do something that was even of more importance and to really find my calling.
Yeah.
And that's when I began this journey of helping folks start and grow their own businesses, first as a business coach and now as a media coach, specifically with podcast guesting.
I love that. I mean, the part about your daughter, losing her at 37 week, that is one hard reality to swallow. Because I remember this was probably 2013 when we also lost, probably second trimester. My wife, lost second one, and it's a hard place to be. But then you taking that as an action plan. Hey, I can help others be good at what I love to teach. That's awesome.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. I think one of the things that I have learned is this type of a conversation. One of the reasons I've devoted my life to this work, at least my working life, is because it's so healing.
It
right? I'm sure there are people listening who've experienced some type of a similar loss to one of ours, right? And no matter what it is, like just knowing you're not alone. Now you and I have an understanding of what it is like to parent living children when you've lost one and to go through, right? Like that. I mean, I feel like I know you on a completely different level now.
Yeah, man. And that's the power of stories. That's the power of connecting on another level, right? And those things won't come out till you actually seek out or share your own story, right? The half of the struggle is showing up with your own authentic story to attract the people that connect with you on that level.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go now. But so you already shared, you shared your journey, your little origin story, but what kept you going after you found the people who really wanted to learn from you, after you attracted the people that kept you afloat, and coming to a realization that no matter how many plans we make, it's not going to go the way that we planned it.
Yeah. I think that my world was cracked wide open. I had been this very, really uptight kind of like, I must fit myself in this box or I
Mm,
must be good in order to, right? Because that's what I came to believe as I was growing up. And then I can remember being in the grocery store and just having come home from the hospital
mhm.
and just having this realization of looking around all these other humans, all these other souls, and going like, they have no idea what I just went through, and I have
Yeah.
no idea what they're walking around with.
Right. We don't.
And like having this compassion of, wow, like I look, there were people who kept me afloat. There were people who gave me life. And I I became this person who had so much more capacity, so much more space to hold for others after going through this thing. Because
Yeah.
before I lost Maeve, right? Like I would have been the person who, if one of my friends went through that, I would have been so uncomfortable. I would have
Yeah.
been so worried about saying the wrong thing that I would have been one of the people who ghosted me.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
right, most of the people in my life ghosted me including family,
Because they
after
didn't
I
know
lost
what
her.
to say. They haven't
Yeah,
gone to that experience, and oh my God,
yeah.
this reminds me of, so when 2020 hit, Foo Fighters song "It's Times Like These," the song.
Mm,
BBC did a version of this where it was all
mm,
acoustic. All these singers came together, and with what happened in Texas recently, the song came up again because
mm,
people are sharing it because
mhm.
it's times like these you learn to live again. And you literally had to do that, right? And you give and give again, learn to love again. This is going to be one of those emotional episodes. I'm just feeling, I mean, I've got tears
Me too.
coming, which is okay because we are being vulnerable. We are
Yeah.
being core to the human, you know, the core of humanity, of, that's what it is. It's, we are emotional beings, and until we share that, experience that, it's, we can't move forward. So sorry to cut you off, but
No,
so
I love it.
you're in the grocery store, and you're like, they don't know what I just went through, but I
Yeah,
don't know what they're going through either.
yeah.
So what was the next move?
Mm. So I sort of became very aware as I was grieving and as I was kind of watching myself, you
Yeah.
know, go through this experience that was I mean, the nursery was ready. We came home, the car seat was in the car, right? Like
Yeah.
we came home to an empty everything. And I had to deal with all of the postpartum stuff that you deal with, but you're okay dealing with because you have a baby. And
Yeah.
instead, I'm going to the funeral home to identify her, right? Like, what?
Mm,
So I just became very aware that this was either going to 1,000% break me and I would never come back from it. And I would spend the
mm,
rest of my life numbing out in some way or another. And I
yeah.
understand why people do that. And I don't judge them for it
Yeah.
because it is impossible. Or I was going to find a way to make some kind of meaning out of this,
Yeah.
right? And take this grief and this trauma and all of these things that I'm still walking around working on today
Yeah.
and do something good with it. Because this was my make or break point. And I also realized that like that had happened and I was still here. And so everything that I had been afraid of up to that point just dissipated.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm afraid of what people think.
Not anymore.
I'm now the girl with a dead baby. I
Yeah.
know what they're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of it anymore,
Yeah.
you know? And so I needed to find something good, right? And so that for me, like I've always been a person who really needed to be deeply invested and believe in the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, right, I could have done a lot of things, blah, 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 but it has to matter. That's just how I'm wired. And so that became the vehicle for me to start questioning the work that I was doing, which was good, but it wasn't the level I knew that there was
Mm.
for me of vulnerability, of impact, of income so that I could give massive amounts of money away and solve problems that money could solve, right? And so that's when I finally, I guess, got over myself enough to stop just trying to learn everything for free from CD books from the library. And I finally hired my first coach. I did the cheesy thing. I clicked on a Facebook ad sitting on my couch one night, you know, and I was terrified, and I went all in, and again, broke open this whole new world for me that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And so I started with what I knew, which was that I was a woman who'd quit my job and replace my income. And so I started helping people do that. And then as I grew, the type of person that I worked with grew, as we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are.
Wow, I love everything you shared, because that is a path you selected. You chose to be in an empowering position, not feeling victimized, not saying why me. There's a whole passage of when you ask God to help you be a better something, you're faced with that type of adversity that's going to help you grow. And
so annoying.
It's kind of like, come on. I want a chicken, not an egg. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Was I not specific?
I like a grilled chicken. I don't want to hatch an egg and grow a chicken.
Not that way.
Not that way. But sometimes, yeah, it's crazy, right? And there's actually a verse in the Quran that says, "We will not give you more than you can handle." Right? And we have the results in front of us.
Yeah. And it's sometimes it is like, but really?
Yeah. Really?
Why
Yeah.
me? But also like, why not me?
Right.
I mean, I have come to believe that, I am here to learn certain lessons.
Yeah.
Right. And to your point, yeah, I mean, one of my many therapists recently said to me that, Christine, she's like, I worked with a lot of people. She used to be an MD.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I've worked with all sorts of people in all kinds of ways. And I have to tell you that I don't think you can replicate the growth that comes from parenting with anything else. She's like, yeah, people talk about starting your business. Yes. We all know that makes us grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's part of why we love it and hate it and love it again.
Yeah.
/ and parenting through a loss,
Mm-hmm.
parenting after loss,
Yeah.
all of it. I mean, nothing has challenged me the way that not only losing her, but then going on, I now have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old living children.
Yeah.
It's either going to break me or make me again on a daily basis.
Amen. Absolutely, because right, they test us, and we are they're put on this earth to help us grow.
Yeah.
And they are a physical human being that we are responsible for, right? It's like, why, child, why don't you just listen to what I'm just saying? Like, no, I'm gonna do it this way. You can't make me.
Yep. And I've got this really cute little 8-week-old puppy sitting right next to me. And everybody thought I was crazy for getting her because we're in a very intense season with my kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I need something that's going to love me no matter what, that's always going to be happy to see me, that is not defiant. That when I roll over in the morning, wags its tail at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take care of that all day long.
Exactly. Well, my neighbors got a puppy as well. I think 2 years ago, like right in the beginning of the pandemic, and this was a cute little thing, and still growing, and it's like another child, right? You're like, and every time this dog sees me, Sonny, he just cannot contain himself. He's like, oh, Mr. Nate. And he's like jumping. He's like, no, sit. So I hold back. Like, okay, let me just hold back while, my neighbor tries to have him settle down, and then I'll go and pet him because he's just so adorable, and it's a golden doodle, so it's really really beautiful.
Love it. Oh, puppies. Pandemic puppy. That's a thing, apparently. So many people in our neighborhood. I've just watched these dogs grow up as they walk by our house every
Yeah.
day.
The panda puppies. I know a ton of people invested in the pet care business. The stock market just blew up. It's like, what? More people are buying pet food? I wonder why. A friend of mine, Andy Wong of Inspired Money podcast, he talked about it on, I think, TD Ameritrade, about all these pet stores making massive amounts of. But anyways, we were kind of like going astray talking about everything. But
It's a
that's what.
recession-proof business.
Yes, it is. And that's what, as parenting and as parents, as we're steered in so many different directions, and it takes a lot of effort for us to realign, like, okay, no, this is what we're doing today. And they really test the boundaries. Like, I wish I can hire them as salespeople, because they'd be the best salesperson. Like, oh, but why? But why? Why? Like my son, like, can you play Roger the Rabbit? Can you play Roger the Rabbit? Before I go to sleep. It's a story that helps him fall asleep. So every day, the same question without fail. I'm like, wow, man, I need to get that kind of consistency.
Follow-up game strong, sir.
Yes. Oh my God. I loved it. I love this kid. I love this kid. All right. So we've been having a lot of fun chatting. We learned about your story, your origin story, what kept you motivated, and the human side of things come out, right? We're all so human, and it's so important to share those heartbreaking stories, because then we will find other people that connect with us on that level.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for creating a space to share.
Absolutely. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to share, you're going to help. You're going to share with us 3 hacks to take away for the superpreneurs on how to be good at what you teach. I don't even know what that is, but we'll figure it out.
Perfect.
We'll be right back.
When I record you.
All right. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. All right, we're coming back. We're just shaking it all out, hashtag we're noodle.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we've been noodling back in the Zoom room. We've been talking about a bunch of cool things. But Christine's got amazing. She's an amazing human being. I got to see her in person. She just exudes this powerful human person. Like yes, you can say powerful human being. Somebody that commands a lot of power. But when you meet somebody that's a powerful human being, you want to be around them. You want to be around these people. And so Christine's been so generous in sharing her story. So thank you so much. I love you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I love you too. I'm so grateful. Thank you, podcasting.
Yes. This is the power of podcasting, guys. If you have not experienced these kind of moments, you need to step in and just guest on the podcast if you have to, because you rebuild these connections that are few and far between in the hangouts that you're doing with friends. Now, if you have a really good hangouts and you go deep in these conversations, then hallelujah, call me in because I want to be in those conversations too. Please bring us in. So, Christine, take it away with 3 hacks to take away for our superpreneurs.
So I think one of the biggest things that I get to practice on a multiple times a day basis is really presence. For example, like I've got one kid who's teething and another kid who's recovering from surgery, and they're both super extra right now, and neither of them are sleeping. And so, this morning at 4:00, I was like, what's happening? And I got a business dinner tonight, and I started projecting and spinning out about how am I going to make it through the day?
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, Christine, you don't have to make it through the day. You just need to make your tea. Right? Just be here now. Spinning out has never done it. I'm 40 years old. I've never gained anything from spinning out except a false sense of control. Right. So, and I would say the same thing applies like to being a guest on a podcast, right? You get to practice presence and connection even when you have 50 tabs open in the background and things binging and banging on your phone, your computer, and everything, right? You get to go, no, I am here. I am listening. I am connecting. I am answering. I am asking, right? And I think that for me, that applies to everything. Whether I'm super stressed about the way my kids are behaving or whether I'm having a blast on a podcast interview, like just have to be here right now. That's it. That's it. That's all that really matters, right? Over and over and over again for the rest of your life. I think another thing that I have really learned over the past few months that how to step into this role of being a visionary. So I've known for a long time that Christine's brain does not like spreadsheets, SOPs, KPIs, or any of these things. However, I thought that I needed to like them in order to have a successful business. And I actually cried with one of my coaches and was like, why have I been plateaued? What am I doing wrong? I have a great team. I have a good thing, blah, 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 blah. He was like, you're trying to put yourself in a box that you have no business being in.
Yeah.
Like here's the hack. So smart. Jason King is his name. Your team needs to know they never ask you how, they only ask you the what and the why. And I thought you needed to be Elon Musk or Steve Jobs to be a visionary.
Have to know everything.
Yeah. And have this brain that like is just next level. Instead, he was like, Christine, your energy is what you bring to your team.
Yeah.
That is how you manage them. You coach your team, you coach your clients, you dream. That's it, right? You show up. So if you are a person who's like me, like you don't like spreadsheets, you don't like tracking, you don't like SOPs, you don't like KPIs, and you're just like swimming in the sea of what do I feel like doing today that's going to give me energy, doesn't mean those things are not important. But how can you set yourself up to, whether it's through team or someone who helps you make it fun, how can you set yourself up to be that person who gets to live in the what and the why and not in the how, which I would say ties into, this is like Christine's soul lesson to learn, which is trust and faith. Oh my gosh. Like I realize that these are all kind of wooey, but hey, this is what's real for me.
Yeah.
Trust and faith. I mean, it doesn't have to be wooey, right? But this is so important because if you want to have a business that you love, and you want to have one that doesn't burn you out, that you want to show up for every day, it's this whole idea of no matter what happens, it's for you, right? That's a Tony Robbins thing, not to you, for you.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that you and I have been through in our lives, like, and businesses is absurd. Some of it is like, what? Why would that happen? I did everything right. Yeah. Hey, I get to choose how I look at it. I get to believe that these things are happening for my growth and for my highest good. And that's part of what keeps me going every day, even when, you have a day where you're crying about something that happened.
Yeah.
So those
I
are
love that.
my hacks.
I love it. Thank you, Christine. I feel so much better of not trying to figure everything out. The what and the what and the why. I need this because of this. You figure out the how. Now I'm the how guy, right? This is the how podcast. But I love that. That
Well, it's the
sometimes I
How
just need to.
podcast. Sorry. It's the How podcast so you can learn the hows because it's not
Yes,
your job. It's not
exactly.
your nature,
Exactly.
right?
I love that. I love that.
There are people who like spreadsheets apparently, and we're grateful for them.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
are.
God.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Because we have, the different hemispheres of our mind and how everything works and who we're supposed to be in this world, right? So you're supposed to be, this is not something that the society tells you who you're supposed to be. It's who you're supposed to be innately that keeps you aligned with who you actually are. And each one of us is a separate, unique person with their own superpowers and our own strengths. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, and I just have to say you're obviously a very creative person because I cannot stop staring at your background and how your shirt coordinates with it. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like my lame attempt, if you're watching this on video, my lame attempt to make something like this. But since you and I first met, I was like, wow, like I don't know anybody else who does what you do. And, you spoke about it at Podfest, you're being recognized for it, like on these bigger stages. And so, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that you would feel similarly because you obviously have that eye for design and bringing all that together.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Man, this was so much fun talking with you, Christine. I wish we had more time to hang out at Podfest, which is fine. We'll find another podcast environment to hang out. I got to hang out with Chad Peterson. He's amazing. Chris Stone, they're just amazing human beings. And like Chris Stone calls me a tremendous human being, that's what you are, Christine. Thank you so much.
Well, like attracts like, so thank you.
That's right. That's right. All right, so let's jump right into the quick questions.
Cool.
These are fun ones. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
Playing the violin.
Ooh, the violin, the viola. Nice, I like that.
Like that. That's how it would sound if I played it.
Oh my God, that is cool. I've never played any instruments. I mean, I played the guitar a little bit. I couldn't get a hang of it because too many frets or whatever. But I was pretty good with the bass guitar.
Nice.
Love it.
It's an important instrument.
It is very important. Keeps the beat going. Keeps the beat going. What did you want to be when you were a child?
Well, when I was 5, I think I concerned my parents with this because I either wanted to work at McDonald's or be an astronaut. I didn't have the math aptitude to go into, NASA. Probably not the physical ability either. But I was really fascinated with the buttons that they used to order. And that actually, maybe it was Wendy's because it was when they had a microphone. They'd be like, need a burger, cheeseburger, plain. And I was like, I want a microphone. You are just now connecting these dots for me. I actually had shape. Like, why did I want to work at McDonald's? I'm sure my parents were like, sure, when you're in high school, cool. And we hope you will do something else also, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just right. I'm like, I need a lot of novelty and I would probably be bored, So anyway, microphone.
See, you're talking in the microphone right now for the podcast. Oh my God. Thank you. Another thing that I could say is you probably want to be operating some equipment, helping people with food on Mars because, you have to be an astronaut to go on Mars and people still need to eat food when they're on Mars. And the reason I mention it is because I have a Mars theme behind the scenes. So I have like posters from Mars back here.
Cool.
Nobody gets
red is my favorite color, so.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
love it. Awesome. Next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Favorite movie? Moulin Rouge. Favorite
Ooh,
TV show? Tie between Friday Night Lights and This Is Us.
okay. I have not seen any of those shows. I've heard a lot about them, but Moulin Rouge I have seen. Evan McGregor, so good.
Nicole.
Nicole
He
Kidman.
so this director is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting ready this month. The Elvis biopic is coming
Oh,
out
he's
and it's
doing that.
his. Yep.
It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Talking about Evan McGregor and favorite movies, have you started watching Obi-Wan Kenobi yet?
No, I grew up in a house full of girls, and I mean, that's very a stereotypical thing to say, but Star Wars was not a part of my childhood. It's not a part
Mm,
of like my family lore, and I really haven't gotten into it. But I love Ewan and
yeah,
have for a long time. So
yeah.
I think he's a tremendous actor.
He is a tremendous actor. And thank you for reminding me how to say his name because I kept I've been saying it
I'm
wrong
just
the whole.
obsessed with all things
Right.
English and
Yeah.
Scottish and Irish. So I got you.
Perfect. All right. Next question. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
Ooh, no one's ever asked me that. Well done. Um, can it be a TV show?
Of course, it could be anything.
This is, I kind of love and hate this answer, but it's the truth. So I'm going to say it. Outlander.
Outlander. Okay.
I think that playing Claire would be horrific. And I also think that it would be amazing.
I do not doubt that. Oh my god, that's so cool. Outlander. All right, we're gonna have to jot that down. Next question. Who is your favorite superhero?
I really like Iron Man. I
Well,
really do. I also
obviously.
have a girl crush on Gwyneth Paltrow, so that helps. And I think so much of Robert Downey
Yeah.
as a human, of everything he's overcome, and of him as an actor. So
Yeah.
it's easy to get behind all of that.
Well, that's awesome because that's my favorite superhero too.
Love it.
My god, this is so cool.
Are we like soul family? Probably.
Yeah, there's probably there's a lot of going on. Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Ooh. First answer that popped into my mind was Hungry Hungry Hippos. Do with that what you will.
Well, we gotta feed the hippos because they are hungry, and in our case, they might be our kids.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely they are. I definitely work for school and food.
Yeah.
Also therapy right now.
Oh my God, Christine, this was so much fun chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking us through this journey. Totally love it. Where can my audience find you?
Ooh, well, first of all, thank you so much. Seriously, this was a blast. I so appreciate you and what you're doing and how you do it. Yeah. And the best way to get into my world is through a podcast guesting checklist. So we touched on that a little bit, but if you want to have conversations like this one, life-changing conversations that are also a lot of fun, you don't know how to do it, I've got this checklist that you can grab. Learn how to do it the right way instead of, as some of our friends say, like a leechy vampire. Don't do that. And
Don't do that.
please don't.
Mhm.
And you can grab it at lifewithpassion.com/checklist. And that will also get you into the rest of my world.
Sweet. We'll be sure to share the links in the show notes so that you can get in touch with Christine and learn how to be a really good guest on podcasts, because you probably heard some episodes that you're like, what is happening in this episode? I do not have any idea where the conversation is going. Why are these answers so generic? Can they be original? So thank you so much, Christine. Appreciate you every single bit. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Well, thank you so much, guys, for listening in. This was one of my favorite episodes. And you probably can feel it because you're probably crying your tears as you're sitting in the car listening to this episode, or you're out on the jog. You probably have to slow down and pause because of what we're sharing in here. So thank you again so much, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.